So I think the majority of women would say, no, cheating is cheating. And they would also say that there's an in-between. There's an in-between between the extreme of a guy that's faithful but ain't worth a and a guy that does everything a woman needs but cheats. There's a happy median in that. So
the guy that cheats sometimes.
no, man.
No. Just once a year or whatever, you slip out. But with that.
Once a year.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am not your normal host of Ferg. You don't get the soothing baritone bravado, as he calls it, to open up this week. But if you listen to the show, you know that Ferg lost his grandmother, and so we had the funeral and a lot going on this week, so we weren't able to record. But we wanted to make sure that we got some content out to you guys, so we went back into our back catalog, and so we remastered one of our favorite shows. It's called I Lie Because I Love You. So sit back and enjoy.
So, how you fellas doing, bro?
You know, we cool and how we cool.
Any big plans for the summer?
I wouldn't say big. Still taking it easy with the pandemic going on.
Okay.
It's a panorama out there, man.
Yeah, panorama. So, yeah, just making sure. All y'all play, both of you guys played sports in high school and middle school and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And you both kind of ran track and stuff, competed in competitors,
Yeah.
Never took it really too far, right? Razi, you did
baseball, cross country.
Cross country.
Yeah.
Why'd you give up?
I knew I wasn't good enough to in baseball to go past. Like I probably could have made a college team, probably walk on or something like that. But I knew I wasn't gonna make it to the league, so it kind of was pointless to keep trying to go at it and waste my time.
Same.
And it cross country, it was just like literally. I mean, I was okay. I placed a lot of times, but at the same time, again, it was just. I knew I could go further using my time other places. And so, other than just doing it for fun, I was just like, nah, I ain't going to try to compete at it.
What about you, Buff? You played football, ran a little track. What made you give up on those sports streams?
I didn't love it. I hated practice. I hated it. Like, I would get depressed when I would see the school buses pulling off, because I knew they were getting ready to go home, and I had at least another 2 to 3 hours of running and hitting and doing all this other BS I ain't feel like doing. I just like
I was
playing.
there with you, bro.
Yeah. I just like playing the game.
This is not even related to my question where I was going. Bro, 2 examples. Me and Byron would partner up, like when we're doing tackling drills.
Yes.
We know we had the same amount of E. I don't want to go with this guy because he seems like he's passionate about this.
Yeah.
So we would get up and we made it look good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for me either. Because I remember that one day, it was the end of tour days, Labor Day weekend. We were supposed to have a short practice day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting ready to wrap it up. And it started raining. We saw the rain come. And we were like, oh shit, about the rain. Coach about to call practice. And that motherfucker stopped at the fence line, went around the field, and continued to rain. So it didn't rain on the field. It rained everywhere but. And Rayford Parker saw that as a sign from the football gods that we should continue practicing.
That's all facts right there.
And I realized that did not work for me. So the reason I asked fellas is, we're about 80 days away from the Olympics. So the Olympics are coming, Summer Olympics. Usually we have it on every 4 years, but because of the panorama, it got postponed this year. And it has been brought to my attention that the Olympics have banned Black Lives Matter apparel and could punish athletes for social protests.
Where's the Olympics being held?
Tokyo.
In China? Or,
Tokyo.
Tokyo, yeah. Japan.
In an Asian country, okay.
So yeah, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be, first time there's no international fans. It's a year off. Athletes gonna have to pass a COVID test just to run or play or participate. So the reason I asked is like we were all athletes, but we just weren't dedicated enough to like go to that next level. It's just like, was Razi willing to practice enough to go to that next level? So we all remember that 1968 Olympics where it was a black power fist in the air. That's became an iconic moment in black history and stuff like that. And I think we'll never forget that. But in 2020, Tokyo says, y'all can't do none of that shit. No Black Lives Matter, no social protesting, no kneeling. You will not participate. So what are your thoughts on Tokyo taking this stance in the midst of all this Stop Asian Hate talks, as well as that's part one. And the second is, as a black athlete, how would you handle this blatant, just you niggas act right message?
Go back over this again. What's the punishment if someone does decide to protest? What is the said punishment to be?
I don't think they can participate.
Yeah, and then they can strip their titles if, say, they did it on the stand or whatever. They sitting up, they win gold or they win silver, and then they do some political thing. Then they can strip them of that title.
Yeah. So they can be sit home.
Yeah, it's always easy for people like me to answer these type of questions because I'm not a professional athlete, that can compete on the world stage. But I would like to think that I would compete, and if I win, and if I feel compelled enough to use that platform, I would do it, and I wouldn't care about. I mean, who was it? Was it Muhammad Ali that threw away his medal? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we've seen people not really care about those medals that they win over there. So, I would like to think that that's what I would do, and I would love to see athletes do that. But I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't. I'm not going to hold it against them if they go compete and don't say a word, because that's not in everybody, and we shouldn't expect that of everybody. Which is why we recognize the people that do those things as special. That's why we remember Tommy Smith, the other guy name eludes me, that the Olympics you mentioned raising their fist. So that's why we will forever remember Colin Kaepernick. I just mentioned Muhammad Ali. So that's what I would do. That's what I would like to see. Pass that thing to Razi. What you got?
So, and the other one's John Carlos. What are your thoughts on the Tokyo Olympic Committee putting this out there? Should this have even been said, especially with everything going on with Stop Asian Hate in America?
Yeah, I'm a little timid in answering this because you never know how big this show could get and who could listen to this a couple of years from now and try to come and cancel me. But I, like I said, when I asked that question a couple of weeks ago about how you guys felt about some black people being a little on the Stop Asian Hate thing, to me, this kind of adds to it. It doesn't help that I saw a report saying that Asian communities have been contributing to the Proud Boys. Haven't verified that, so don't take that and run with it. But I'm just saying, when you see stuff like that and now hearing this, it doesn't help. And my hope was that we had gained an ally, and it just doesn't seem that way. It doesn't feel that way. And this kind of adds to that narrative for me.
Yeah, and don't think that it's them trying to stop just the Black Lives Matter movement or anything. They are stopping any social protests, and you got to think in Asia in general. I mean, you still have places like where the Tibet and all of that, and all of that with China that's going on, and then Myanmar and all like that. They have a lot of social protests and unrest going on in Asia. So it's not like they're saying, oh, don't bring your Black Lives Matter stuff over here. They're trying to tamp down on that and stick to all right, let's have the World Games. So for me,
hold on, point of clarity. The International Olympic Committee got very granular with what is not allowed. It said specifically that the slogan "Black Lives Matter" will be banned from athlete apparel at the Summer Olympics.
Oh, they did get specific. I thought they were just doing social.
So yeah, they've always had a long-standing ban on demonstrations of political, religious, or racial propaganda. But it's like, don't bring that Black Lives Matter shit over here.
Oh,
they didn't kind of because they could have kind of sugarcoated like, hey, we don't do that. With all the stuff going on in the world, we're not allowing any social protests.
So this is the Olympic Committee, not necessarily Tokyo, but
I think they oversee it too. Okay. I think they have a part in saying it. So
they're probably pressing it, and that's why the Olympic Committee said or kind of said it. I can see that. We all know it's wrong. We all know why it's happening. So it definitely should be allowed. I mean, but as far as the athletes go, like Buff said, I mean, the thing is, I'm not gonna hold it against them if they didn't or don't say anything or don't wear anything. Go compete, win, and then use the platform and the fame you get from that to help your platform, or to help spread that word. What I wouldn't want to see for those athletes, and what I probably wouldn't do, is show up with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt on day one and then not be able to compete. So, because at that point, what's going to end up happening, I didn't compete. I'm going to be a footnote in history that nobody really is going to remember much of. And, I didn't get that goal. I wasn't able to say that I was the best in the world and compete against the best in the world. So, if anything, I do like what they did, in the 60s and do it on the stage as I get my medal. If I was just going to try to buck the system, I doubt I'll show up and try to buck the system on the front end. But the athletes that do it, I mean, I do anticipate a couple probably showing up with Black Lives Matter and saying, I know I'm the best in the world. I can see Usain Bolt showing up doing something like that and saying, who's going to beat me? I know I'm the fastest man in the world. So that's going to piss off everybody else that's trying to say that they are the fastest person in the world because they can't compete against me. So, there's that as well. But I don't think I could really speak for any of them. I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't do it. I will be happy if one of them does do it. But, it's one of those things that you got to follow your dream, man. And if your dream is to be the best in the world in this sport and to be known for that, sometimes, taking that political stance and catching your dream, you gotta weigh the options and see which one that you really, really want. And talking about chasing your dreams real quick, I want to give a shout out to my homegirl Cece that just competed in the Pan Am and won, I want to say silver, maybe, and gold in some events. So shout out to you, Cece. I know you listen, so good job on that, man. Keep it up.
All 102 pounds of her.
I know, right?
4 foot nothingness. But she a beast. So
definitely.
Congrats, CC. I've been following her story, dude. I've been following her for years since I met her, and I'm proud of her too. So congratulations. And she's competing to be on the American team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So don't listen to anything we say. Get the bag, girl. So, well, for me, I don't deal well with ultimatums. Like in the past, I've disassociated myself with certain things because of ultimatums. I just don't feel, I don't know. But we all follow rules. I get that. But when it's ultimatums and stuff like that, and I think in the time, it's a pretty outdated rule. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee has had this in place for years. That's the reason that there was such a big uproar in the 1968 Olympics when they did that, because it's always been that way. So it's called Rule 50. That's kind of like saying, hey, we don't do any of that political or social. We don't believe in political or social propaganda going on through during competition. But I think in the world we live in now, if you're trying, this is the best representation of the world coming together that I think we have. That's like watched. people tune, especially, I don't know last time I watched the Winter Olympics, but this is kind of a chance for us to get those things out in the new world we live in, but it's not just Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of social issues that are going on across the world that people need to know about and see. The reason you said, was it, like Asian hate, this would be the perfect time, because Olympics are in Tokyo, to push that message, stop Asian hate. Like if it's serious, if we're serious about changing the world and doing better, perfect time. Black Lives Matter. The world just galvanized and came together for the most part over George Floyd. They were rioting and protesting across the world. I've never really seen anything like that. It's a perfect time to follow up with that, with being the world becoming more accepting of sexuality, and I don't even know the letters anymore.
My thing about it is, we have to think how the Olympics was formed. Like, the Olympics was formed when, like, countries were at war with each other and everything, and people would put all that aside and come and do these games. It was the show of unity for everybody. And
so that's not a show of unity. This, once again, perfect. This is a show of unity that we're progressing.
But what they were saying is, put all that stuff that's happening in your country with across countries and everything like that, put it to the side. We're gonna come and we're gonna compete in these sports and live together. That I kind of agree with Rule 50. If at some point you got to say, we are trying to make a show, we're showing and not telling. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, where they're trying to go with it. They're like, look, we're not calling out this and that and other, because as soon as we allow Black Lives Matter, we have to allow White Lives Matter, somebody to wear White Lives Matter. As soon as I say stop Asian hate, I'm going to let somebody put, we will not replace us on a shirt and put it on there. So what they're saying is, all of that stays out of these walls, and you come in, you compete with the person, no matter what, with the person that's next to you.
So let's just act like everything's fine. I got it. Okay.
Well, I think what he's saying is, the Olympics, like a large segment, has pretty much said they don't want to see any type of protest or demonstration in their sports. We hear it all the time. People in this country call it politics. It's not politics, but that's what they call it. I don't want politics in my sports. I don't want social issues in my sport. And so they will decide to not watch it. Hey man, the Olympics want eyeballs on the TV during these games, and I'm sure that went into the decision of this. Like, they're trying not to turn off any fans.
I get what you're saying, but it's no different from the NBA, the NFL, or anybody saying, shut up and dribble. It's shut up and run. Shut up and slam somebody. Shut up and shoot off. Like, it's entertain us, do this, and shut up. It's blocking out everything that's going on in the world. And these are things these athletes still have to go through on a daily basis. And I'm not saying, I think there should be limits, there shouldn't be anything derogatory. And that opens up a can of worms as well. But that's the world we live in. Just like you said, if they show Black Lives Matter and it shows somebody comes up with White Lives Matter, that shows the world we live in. That's the world these athletes live in. That's the world we live in. And I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's better just to think that the world is all great and there's no issues, but some of these...
I'm not saying ignore the issues, but sometimes... you gotta
shut up and dribble.
Not just shut up and dribble, but the thing is, let's just sit and have fun together at one point. And we dribble. Can't be angry all the time.
But the thing about it is, how is that different? How is this any different than telling LeBron not to say anything?
Oh, it's not any different.
So,
my big thing is, I think how the Olympics was formed, what the Olympics stood for, what the Olympics has done over all the years of the Olympic Committee, I feel like that is one where you can kind of say, we've always done it. Here's what we've always said. Here's what we've always done. Leave your politics out of this.
But
leave your because you got to think it was all about politics when you're talking. We're at war and this, that, and other, and this, that, and other. You leave that out and you come here and we're gonna compete.
Let's conserve and preserve the Olympic field. Like let's take the conservative measure. Like let's not make any changes.
I mean, for me, I think it makes sense. I really do.
So how's it comes to the Olympics, I think it makes sense. Any other thing that somebody wants? I don't want to see this disrupted. You will not replace me. You will not replace this whitewashed Olympics that I'm used to. What do
you mean whitewash though?
I'm saying whitewashes in this word.
I'm not trying to conserve the things about the Olympics. Like if they were like, oh, black people can't compete. Or things like things that negatively affect everybody. But when you start talking propaganda and saying, "Hey, we're going to let each individual person come in and push whatever their idea is of what they want to protest on the platform," what happens is now the Olympics becomes this political statement. Every person is trying to make a political statement when they come to the Olympics. And they're trying to stay away from that.
Isn't that an assumption that everybody wants to make a political statement? It's just the fact that if I feel strongly about this, everybody who's ever competed in the Olympics has had an opportunity to make a political statement. Everybody. No. They have. Everybody
has. Rule 50's there.
But they can do what you want. You win the gold and you hold up a black power fist, nigga, you did it. Rule 50 ain't gonna change it. You have the opportunity. People are gonna do what they want to do regardless. My thing is it time to revisit or revamp the rule even slightly? It could be rule 50 and a half. Is this a time to progress is about change? Like, do they need to relook at this rule? This rule that they made whenever it was made, is it fit in 2021? That's my thing. We just want things to stay the same. Like, well, they've always done it this way, so let's continue. How many times has that hurt us? And how is that any different than anything else? We've always done it this way.
I tell you what, we're talking about the Olympic Committee and Tokyo. The country that it should be most happy is America, because a lot of these issues are central to what's wrong in America.
Yeah.
So it would really
it definitely sheds a light.
Yeah, it would be putting us on blast.
My thing is, I look at the Olympics as like a ceasefire between the Bloods and the Crips, and we're gonna go have a basketball game for one day. Like it's look, for this time, this 1 week, 2 weeks, however long the Olympics is, we are going to just come and chill. Like just chill, take a breath, and that's what I think about. Like, and that's how I, in my mind, I kind of differentiate the NBA, MLB, all those folks, and you having your platform and all of that versus the Olympics and the world stage, and how many different political stances can be taken in a single place like that. It's, for me, I just feel like it's too muddled, and it, for the good of the world, which is how the Olympics was founded and structured. Take a breath. Lay down your arms. Stop warring. Stop doing all that. Stop. Your side versus my side and everything. Just take a breath and just have fun looking at the sport.
So me wearing a shirt that says Black Lives Matter just changed all that. So we're comparing a warring faction between the Bloods and the Crips versus somebody who's trying to bring awareness to a social issue where people are dying.
We are. Okay. We're comparison. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not saying it's on the same level. We are comparing. I'm using that as an analogy. So, there's two people in the world, right? People that can extrapolate, and I ain't even gonna talk about the rest. So, that's what it is. It's like you can extrapolate and you understand what I'm saying when I say it's an analogy for that. So it's bruh, like, again, you can't hold all of that weight on you all the time.
I'm not saying they have to, but the thing about it is you're telling me they can't. It's not that they have to. It's not saying, okay, all black people, you have to make this statement. It's like, you know what? It took a lot for me to get here. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and I want to speak my mind, or I want to say. I don't even have to say anything. It's kneeling before the USA soccer match. That's banned. Taking in, like, those are things that are banned. Doing anything in solidarity that could just say, hey, you know what's going on in America? And Byron said something where it would put America on blast. I agree with you. That's only because I'm American, because I have no idea what's going on anywhere else. And maybe that's when you find out. It might be something going on in Great Britain or Nigeria that's like, wow, damn, I didn't know about that. But for the athletes, it's tough. Like, going back to the question, the athletes, and the reason I asked you guys about, your athletic dreams and what made you quit is because these are people who pretty much have dedicated their whole lives to this.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't put that pressure on them. I don't say, hey, go risk your athletic career or your funding or whatever the case may be. Just like I didn't do it for the football players and NBA players. I appreciate when people speak up. This is a once in a lifetime thing. I think about.
But you also have to think about, there are countries that if they know that their people are going to start trying to speak up like that, they'll pull out. Yeah, I can very easily see China pulling out and saying, no, we're not going to put anybody up there because one of our athletes wants to do this.
But look how crazy that is. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, you're saying, well, don't let anybody say this because Chinese athletes will pull out because China will pull out because they don't want their people to speak up. That's the world. That's the world we live in. That
is the world we live in.
And so,
I don't know, man. I definitely think it's going to be a difference of opinion on it. I mean, it's both sides, and I agree. I think it is one of those things that is it right and wrong? We talk about this all the time. The world that we want and the world that we live in today, and what it is today, right? And I think, for the world that it is today, just like you said, I think it makes sense, and you don't. And I don't think we're going to convince each other either way. Now, I think we both agree that it's not right. I think it's one of those things that I feel like they should be able to do all of that. But I see where they're coming from, and I understand it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Who's next?
I'll let Razi go.
Let me see. I think I got something. All right. Yeah. I saw a post from a dude that was talking about, he can love his lady and still cheat on her. And, he was just like, would you rather have a dude that, can't, basically he was talking about like successful men, and it's okay for them to cheat. Because they teaching you how to build wealth, they can fund your vision, your dreams, do all this other stuff, and it's okay for them to cheat. But then he's like, or would you want a dude that's just gonna cheat on you, or a dude that's not gonna cheat on you, but don't work, ain't got no job, ain't feeding into you, can't help you or whatever, but he's faithful to you. And he was trying to make that case, and I kind of took that and started thinking through it, and I was wondering, is there like a respectable way to cheat? Like, is it one of those things that, like, you can cheat on me, but don't be like putting it in my face. Don't bring the chick around. Don't be out like, eating dinners and stuff with the chick you cheating on or cheating with, or, even if the lady's cheating with the dude. Or is it like, cheating is cheating no matter what? Is there a respectable way to cheat?
I mean, that depends on your lady. Like, the scenario you just gave, it sounds like she's okay with it as long as you don't put it in her face, don't bring home any outside kids or diseases. Don't put it like this, don't embarrass her. Then, in that relationship with that woman, it sounds like there is a respectable way to cheat. But I think the majority of women, people, because you asked the question from the sense of a man. cheating. So I think the majority of women would say, no, cheating is cheating. And they would also say that there's an in-between. There's an in-between between the extreme of a guy that's faithful but ain't worth a damn and a guy that does everything a woman needs but cheats. There's a happy median in that. So
the guy that cheats sometimes.
no, man.
Just once a year, whatever, you slip out. But with that,
once a year.
but with that, like, is there a way that, would do you see a lady staying or a guy staying if she was cheating? Like, like I said, like once a year, every once in a while, and like slipped up and got caught like from a one-off or something like that, versus like, I got a whole nother family or a whole nother relationship out there. Like, and that's kind of what I mean. Is it like levels to cheating?
Yeah, it's levels. That's an affair. women may not want to hear that, but it is levels. That's enough. That's a affair right there.
Versus, so that's what it is. It's like cheating versus an affair.
Yeah. Cheating is like meeting an empty parking lot, get it in the back seat or a hotel or somewhere like that. An affair, like you got a couple of pieces of clothing over her house and shit like that. So y'all take trips together sometime. So yeah, it's levels to it, man. But again, I don't see many women being accepting of either one. Now, this is what I will say. I don't know if it's specific to your question. I do think there are certain examples of cheating that one can forgive their significant other a little more easily versus another example. Like if your significant other is getting her back blown out in your house, in your bed, while you working a 16-hour shift and you come home and see that's one thing versus like you say, Razi, she slipped up, y'all was already like not in a good space or whatever, and she met somebody, she made a mistake, it happened at one time, she may even come and tell you about it, like you don't even have to find out about it, she tell you, she completely feels horrible about it. I can see where some people will be more forgiving in that scenario versus the other one where they just completely disrespectful, no regard, like no cut card whatsoever.
Okay, so if it happens on a girl trip, because I hear they be cheating on these girl trips.
Oh Lord, that started a little gender war right there. That post right there, yeah. Girls trip.
Was that Allison that posted that? Like they be cheating.
I think so.
But that was Marquise. No, Marquise posted that. He's like they be cheating on these girl trips.
Yeah, they do. And women trip me out because like so when. Go ahead, Ferg.
No, tell your story, bro.
What do you mean? Get it. You're not gonna see you. Get it. Anyway, women trip me out because
Roger saw you.
My bad. I ain't think they gonna see you. Oh, that's funny. Nah, women trip me out because they will celebrate when a woman, like they were celebrating Jada Pinkett and the whole entanglement thing. That's right, girl. That's right. You know what I mean? And they say, well, you guys do it all the time, so you can't say nothing. First off, that's not true. Second, even if it is true, we wasn't high-fiving Jay-Z when we found out he was cheating on Beyonce. Like we didn't say anything. It just seems like sometimes women, especially on these social media platforms, kind of celebrate it a little more. I can be wrong about that, but that's what I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead, bro.
So I'm gonna start off very simple. Cheating is bad.
Yeah, we got an episode on that. Yeah, we got an episode.
I mean, it's just
cheating is bad episode.
So to cheat is to act dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in game or examination. So the first part of that, act dishonestly. So I can't agree. There's no. It's wrong, point blank, no questions asked. Byron hit on the fact that, it's some things are forgivable. I get it. Happens. There's certain situations, you talked about somebody working 16 hours, getting their back blown out, that full blown affair. or the girls trip and you slip up and some fall on you or something. I don't know what happens, but all of that stuff is still dishonest. You know, the only time
I think they trip and fall on the.
Oh, they tripping. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know. Cheating is bad, so yeah, and black men don't cheat. And so the only way any of that works is you can't cheat. There has to be some understanding in that relationship. It might not be normal for other people, but it's to understand that your man is, you know, a quote unquote man, and he makes mistakes every once in a while, and you're okay with that. It's not that but you understand it's kind of part of the dynamics of your relationship. It can be unspoken, it can be spoken, but it's something that you understand. You know that once a year, or she go on a girls trip. I mean, I'm not gonna ask because I know her girls. I know how they were in college. They gonna do their thing. I'm just not gonna ask. She comes back happy, and she won't go on another girls trip for 3 to 4 years. Do I like it? No, but I get it. Do you talk about it? Yes, no, I don't know. That's up to them. But that dishonesty, to me, there's no way to condone cheating because it has to be the definition of cheating is it's dishonest. And I think there has to be some understanding. In your initial scenarios, Razi, people were willing they understood their situation and they accepted their situation. It was, you know what? He make a lot of money. Motherfucker's gonna throw that at him. And so, you know, he don't bring that stuff home. He doesn't do this and this, and he take care of his family. And I'm okay with that. Maybe and I'm not saying that she's right or wrong, but she's okay with that situation. Maybe it's the way they were raised or the culture, and that's all she's seen, because that's kind of, you know, what we seen. Or vice versa, you know, hey, your woman gonna slip up one day, dog. She gonna step out on you. They'll, you know, just get ready for it. It's gonna happen one day. I've heard that. I've heard men say that. You know, the key is you got to forgive her, and if she come back, she's yours forever. I've heard people say that.
Till the next time.
Till the next time. Cheating in the next room. Yeah. But I think there has to be some understanding, spoken or unspoken. But when you're like, your rule of thumb is like, nigga, you cheat, I'm gone, or vice versa. There's no, unless that's all talk, but there's no line of gray. I know it sounds, you know, I'm all high and mighty, but I know I'm shallow. I know my ego would not allow me to look at my wife the same way if she cheated on me. So that's how I go in with it. Like, there's no understanding. There's no deuces. So
it's funny to me. I do think there's a respectable way to cheat. And again, like you said, Ferg, cheating is bad. Cheating is bad. Okay. But yeah, look at movies like Baby Boy, and where Jody was like sleeping with the chick at old girl job. You know what I'm saying?
But you know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about all those movies. Like, I feel like
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, you know, you hitting a chick at your lady job. You hitting her friend. Like, there's a lot of friends that, you know, slide up in the Players Club when the cousin was, you know, he was cheating with the cousin and things like that. Like, that for me, I think is out of bounds when you talk about cheating. And so that's my whole thing, is I do think there's a respectable way. Like, even if you is going to cheat, or you are going to cheat, Lord, even if you are going to cheat,
it's not it's a more respectable way. It's not cheating.
I think there's different. I think there's respect and there's cheating. Again, cheating is bad. It's wrong, but you can do it respectably. Like, yeah, you can respect your lady enough not to do it, not to throw it up in her face. You can respect her enough.
I lie because I love you.
Exactly. You know, you can do it so that, you know, you don't embarrass her. You hear that a lot from girls, right? Like, how are you going to embarrass me? It's not even that you cheated, it's that you cheated and embarrassed me about it. Like, you doing it with the chick at the church. So now I'm looking at this lady, you know, every Sunday, and she just looking at me side eye, and I don't know why, but now come to find out, you know, you were cheating with her. That type of thing. So it's keeping that separation. Talk about these trips, right? Hey, you go off on your trips. You know, things might happen. You come back. that's a respectable cheating.
But it's an understanding. That once again, it goes back to the understanding of somebody.
I don't think it's understanding. I think even if you never get caught, it's like you kept it away from home. And so, and that's male or female in my eyes. It's like you kept it away from home, and so that you don't necessarily embarrass the other person. Like you can get caught cheating, and y'all can break up. Y'all can have a public irreconcilable differences, yada yada yada, and I don't come out looking like I couldn't take care of home or whatever. You know what I mean? I think it's the optics of it all when I talk about being respectable versus it being right or wrong. We agree it's wrong in any way, but I think the optics of it is what makes it respectable.
Yeah, every wrong thing has a respectable way to be done. I mean, shoot, we seen Gladiator. It was a respectable way to kill one another. Remember when he was about to die, he's like, at least give me an honorable death. You know, it's a respectable way to rob. It's a respectable way to do all kind of bad things. It's still wrong, but it's a more respectable way to do certain things.
Yeah. So that's my take on that. That's where I'm coming from on it. So ladies, tell us if we're wrong on it.
Oh,
do y'all think
Ferg.
that there's a respectable way to do this thing, to do the wrong thing?
Okay, I can agree.
We're still gonna say it's still wrong,
and I'm still gonna say there's a more respectable way to do the wrong thing because
you
said
disrespecting her.
Yeah, like the thing about it is like you're still dishonest and like. But the thing about it is, you were saying the girls trip. Well, if she don't get caught, she can do it every day. The girls trip don't make a difference. If she can play the game and just nigga every day and never get caught, it's respectable. Is it respectable because it's a girls trip and
where is she cheating? Like, is she bringing him in, a dude into the house? Because when she brings him into the house, it's disrespected at that point.
Okay, so as long as so as long as she messes with him at his house every day, it's respectable.
Also, in my scenario, when I say one example, I can see where someone is more likely to forgive them. They can't be doing it like in Razio's example every year. Like, hey, I went on my fella's trip. Met this chick named Cinnamon.
It happened again.
It happened. And then boom, a year later, babe.
Like the hangover?
Like, nah. I'm talking about the one time you got like 10 good years, you slip
babe,
up,
I did.
The rest of the
babe, I did it again. Yeah, I married a prostitute, and I think she's.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'll call you later. All right, love you. Bye.
So look, my question. I was mad actually when you mentioned it a few weeks ago, Ferg, because I had it saved as one of my questions, but we didn't elaborate on it too much. So I think I can ask it and it still be fresh. So Procter & Gamble, we spoke about. They made the commercial called Widen the Screen. Mm-hmm. All right. And for those of you that haven't watched it real quick, it's 3 scenarios in the commercial. It's one scenario is a brother with dreads driving a Monte Carlo, I believe it is. He gets out the car with a duffel bag. You automatically assume, okay, he got some weight. And see, when I saw this commercial, as a matter of fact, I glanced at it and I had already formed my opinion. I was like, I know where this is headed. And then I started doing something else. And it wasn't until I saw the end of the commercial that made me rewind it. It was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't see that coming. Because you got that scenario with the brother with the dreads. You got the woman. She has a kid. She's holding a baby and she's pregnant with grocery bags. And the way the camera zooms in, it zooms in on the bus stop sign. So you're assuming, okay, some welfare woman, single mother with kids about to catch a bus and go back to the projects. And then the third one is these like young black kids that go in the convenience store and the clerk is kind of like watching them and it looked like they're up to no good. So you already form your opinions. And what happens is they purchase whatever they purchase with no problems at all. The guy with the dreads, he's going to like his family's house to celebrate a birthday party. And the woman, as we mentioned in the last show a few episodes ago, her husband is pulling the minivan around and picking her up. So, and the commercial is just saying that we think these things because of the narrative that has been painted on black people for years. I said all that to say this and ask you guys this. should we fault some of our black directors for this narrative? Because we know what white Hollywood has done over the years. But we have Spike Lee, Nate Parker, we even have Denzel, the Hughes brothers, John Singleton. John Singleton is responsible, and the late John Singleton at that. But he's responsible for Snowfall. He's responsible for Boys in the Hood, Baby Boy, Poetic Justice too, I believe. All movies that, may have had a good message at the end, but en route to that message, we saw a whole bunch of the stuff that widen the screen thing was talking about. So should we hold our black directors a little more accountable and start making more positive movies as you like to see, Ferg?
Mine is real quick. So yes, and not just them. That's why I don't support a lot of things that portray us in a negative image, because we see it so much. I call it the Good Times effect. Because at the end of the day, Good Times, Scratching and Surviving, all the struggle, love, all the stuff happens, and at the end of the day, it works out. Good times. Like, that's what we're so used to seeing. So it's okay to do those things. Yeah, it's entertainment. I know that's where we're going to go. We don't want to always see, the button-up brother with the 4.0 GPA and the two-parent household and everything works out. That Cosby Show world is not always entertaining, but I think we have to be careful to, it's scary in this world to talk about Cosby Show and the positivity behind that, but we have to be careful to just show that there's more to us in that. Just like you said, Byron, it's become so ingrained in us that we bought into the stereotype. When you saw the commercial, I was kind of like you, like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Where's this going? Where's this going? I thought the welfare mother, the duffel bag boy, the boys in the store, and I'm like, it's.
I was wondering, was it an ad for some upcoming show or like low budget movie? So I diverted my attention to something else.
Yeah. And so that's my thing is, I think it's on black studios, black directors, just people in general to say we want more. Actually, I think it's more on the audience than the directors. Because they're going to keep making what you're going to buy. Rather than when you tell them you want to see more, it's supply and demand. Why make a movie that nobody wants to see? So if you're saying I need to see more of this, and to balance it off, does all the good time stuff need to go away? No, I mean, it can be entertaining. I love Menace Society. I love those movies. But the thing about it is not that many, the great debaters and stuff like, we don't talk about those movies as much as we talk about some of these iconic hood classics. Because we got iconic hood classics. We don't talk about those movies we don't talk about as much. I know, Razi, you and your blur.
I'm getting ready. Yeah.
but you think about it, we're not the norm, bro. Like, we're not the norm. Let's be honest.
I'm not saying I'm the norm. What go ahead and finish. I don't want to interrupt.
I'm good.
Okay. My thing about it is, I do think we have to fault them a little bit. I'm not gonna knock that. We do have to fault them. We have to hold them accountable. But that Procter & Gamble commercial was all about screening reference cinematography. Like you talked about how they zoomed in on the bus thing, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about how they showed the bag from a certain angle. And so we're used to, in cinematography and watching movies, knowing that when you show me that angle, when you show this, whether that guy was black or white, the angle that they used and the bag that they showed, we would have assumed probably the same thing. So, if that young lady had been white with those 4 kids around her pregnant and they zoomed in on that bus stop, we would assume she was trailer park trash, right? So it's not necessarily that it was a black-white issue or anything like that. It literally was how cinematography works, how movies are made, how they're framed, and how they're referenced. But again, yes, we have to hold our black directors to a little bit of a higher standard. But I think we do, and I think those black directors are telling those stories. Ferg, you talked about supply and demand that will get made, that they can find the funding for. But what they do in that is they tell that story from a holistic approach. It's not just those negative stereotypes in there. They have those strong moms in there. They have Furious Styles in Boys in the Hood giving the gentrification speech. They have, the black kid that actually doesn't do anything wrong getting pulled over and talk about how, racial profiling and everything's happening. They're showing that part of our experience. And truthfully, why we talk about those as classics is because a lot of it we hit home with. We feel like, oh, they're finally telling our actual story of what we're dealing with. It's no different than NWA and them talking about F the police and how they were really giving the story of the hood, how it was really happening in the hood at the time, not this whitewashed version of everything's good. It wasn't good times. It was, hey, here's what's happening in my hood right now.
But at the same time, taken away from movies, that's why you talk about NWA, but that's why people like Drake, Childish Gambino, they're saying like, nigga, I'm not, every rapper didn't grow up in the hood. I grew up in the suburbs. There's more world than like, dog, I remember growing up in the hood and got pulled over. There's niggas that never been in the hood.
Right. And I agree. I understand that. But what I'm saying is it's like, yeah, there's niggas that never sold weight and lived in Miami, but we talk about Scarface the same way. Like, they're good, epic stories that you're like, oh my God, I like that. It was super entertaining. I like the action. It was cool. I wanted to be Scarface for a little while. That like you just grow up kind of doing that. Like, people like those types of movies, same way, you liked horror movies growing up too. And you watch Candyman and everything else. They're entertainment for you. I think it's one of those things that, like, you talked about balancing the scales. You have to balance the scales inside of the movie as well as having the great debaters outside of those movies.
So I agree with you to a certain extent. I feel like we're missing a large part of the other story. We talked about, like, all black people. There's not there's so many different faces and levels to what we present, like being accepted as a blurred. Like, how many blurred stories do we have? There's some, I get it. But how many blurred, are they telling Razi's story? They're telling that because the same way we might be able to see that Procter & Gamble show, that commercial, did we need that cinematographer for a lot of the white community to come to those? Because it's happening in our world where black guy walking down the street, he looks dangerous, he's out of place. There's no cinematography. He looks out of place. And you know why he looks out of place? Because all the things I've seen that help build my stereotypes of this, what a black boy does or a black man is. He's a danger. So maybe not for us, but it's still like, hey, there's more to our story. It's like, for somebody to, I think we were at in Mobile, Ani was saying like, we're some of the most non-dangerous looking people. Like she was like, there's nothing dangerous about you guys. But the thing about it is, that's to a black mother who has black sons who grew up in a black community. The three of us fit somebody's description. The three of us look dangerous to somebody. And is there enough stories out there showing that there's people that look just like us that aren't dangerous? And will they ever see that? And that's my biggest thing. Because it's not about us. We know our story. We know there's blurs and all this stuff, but we're dangerous because we're black. That whole driving while black is not because you're black. The end. That is the end of the story. So.
And that was the beauty of the P&G, the widen. That was the beauty of that commercial, was that we made those assumptions. They used the cinematography to make the assumptions, because if you didn't use the cinematography, some people wouldn't make the assumption. Yeah, you had to make it hit. Like Byron said, looking out of the corner of our eye, even black people was like, "Oh, that dude got some weight on him." Like, we wouldn't have said that if they had to use the right angle, he was holding the bags out. We would have like, "Oh, maybe he's catching a flight or something like that." You know what I mean? You would maybe he's going to the gym. Like, we would have made the assumption probably in the positive, but because of the angles they chose, because of what they did, we even jumped onto the train of assuming that it was the bad side of what was happening. So they used that so even white people looking at that would automatically assume that, and then they showed the better angle, right? The full context of it all. It was a perfect commercial. It was great. Yeah, it was. But to Byron's question, I think we have to make sure that we don't judge them being able to get the movies made and get to where they could show directing credit and work in the system that they were working in and try to like rewrite history on it. Like they wouldn't have ever gotten big time directing credits trying to make The Great Debaters first. You know what I mean? And so you gotta look at that too. Is you know, they were able to get their credits up so then they could make a Great Debaters or whatever. You don't have everybody who's a Spike Lee that did She's Got to Have It, you know, in college and just all of a sudden made it big, and then boom, somebody's like, oh yeah, we'll let you make what was it? School Days right after that. Like that's a unicorn story. It's more so your John Singletons that was able to kind of take Boys in the Hood and all those shows, create them, and then he can actually infuse some positive images into it.
My bad, Buff. We hijacked your question.
Yeah, we did.
No, man. I agree with Razi as far as sometimes you don't have to have an entire positive movie or an entire negative movie. You can have like a Boys in the Hood with the messages within it. I do think it's easy to get lost, Razi, but I do get your point that you can have that balance within the same movie. And I just that whole commercial and you know, Ferg, you definitely have challenged me on this just over the episodes we've done on, you know, how you really hate seeing, you know, you call it struggle love, just struggling Black people in TV shows and movies. And I was just thinking when I watched that commercial, like, you know, we have a nice amount of Black directors now. Like, shouldn't we be getting more, or are we getting more and they're just not getting noticed? Like you guys mentioned Great Debaters. That's not nearly mentioned as much as Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood.
But Lean on Me is. You know what I mean? So you got is it Lean on Me? Or Stand By Me? What's the one with Mr. Clark?
That's Lean on Me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I just confuse them. Like, yeah. So Lean on Me. Yeah. But you know, you have those classic movies like that too. You have your classic comedies, right? You've got your Beverly Hills Cops and you know, all of those too. So in that same time period, they were making these movies that were comedies and stuff like that. You got your Nutty Professors and all that, all those Eddie Murphy movies that were out around that time at the same time. So, you know, you had other things that were just straight comedy. You had your Great Debaters and all of that.
That's just funny. That's not necessarily positive. And Lean on Me, that's arguable if that's really, you know, they had the kids that did drugs. They had the Black girl that got pregnant in high school. They had crazy Mr. Clark for the most part. I mean, you know, it was some positive stuff in that too, but you all still
right, so Stag 2. Give me some Stag 2.
I got nothing for you on that.
Yeah. I mean, so they were there, Ferg. I mean, you know, we try to, the things that we watched were, you know, there, but you got Aquila and the Bee. You got, you know, all of those. So,
that's a good one.
You know, there were positive movies with positive role models. And even today, I agree that we need more representation, but we're starting to get a lot more representation where, you know, you look at, we talked about Blood and Bone. There's a couple Black people in there that's in the lead. You talk about, there's a new one on Netflix now called Zero, and it's like a blurred superhero type thing. So that, you know, they're starting to get them. It's just it took time, bro. I mean, you got to think we only 50, almost 60 years removed from freaking civil rights.
And to be fair, Nate Parker is doing his thing. It's like his first two movies, Birth of a Nation and what was the one on the Tuskegee Airmen. So he's definitely doing his thing.
Yeah, you got what's the one The Butler was in there. I mean, that's a pretty cool. I mean, it's all right, but you got that. You got Hidden Figures coming out. So people, you got our stories being told now.
And to me, most of the stuff you're naming are comedies. Like, we shouldn't only be positive when it's comical. And those movies are always, and I love them. You know, it's always kind of a historical based on somebody's real life. You can't just make up a buff type character. You can't make up the same way they make up the same way they made up characters in Boys in the Hood. You don't see these made up characters where they're just doing, there's not a movie just based off of just a good Black experience. We're making a movie about Razi. the self-made millionaire. You know, like it's just like they can't. I put it this way: I very rarely see them envision or come up with characters. Like, why is it so hard to just come up with a black character who's just positive? Like you, to the point where not the comedy and stuff like that, but it's to the point where they can come up with a storyline where we're thugs. They can come up with a storyline where we're selling dope or we're womanizers or we're a baby boy or something like that. They can come up with these. They can always envision us in these struggle love situations. It's very rare that they can imagine us doing something different. I don't see a lot of that and us holding to that. I love those. You made a lot of good points, Razi. I'm not saying that stuff needs to be cut out, but it's always like, why can't, a lot of times we were talking about black princesses and stuff like that in Disney movies. I think we had the debate. It's like, it's so hard for them to imagine us in these roles. It's like, yeah, let's make a Frozen where there's a white princess and she does this and does this and this and this. Like, well, give me your pitch for a black princess. How does that go?
She turns into a frog most of the movie.
Give me your pitch for a black male figure. The one they just came out with, the one where he's a ghost in
Soul.
Yeah. So like, it's for me, it's always like, man, they can't envision or imagine us past certain roles. And the only time we really see ourselves, it has to be something real. Like,
give me an interesting story, and not right now, but I want you to sit down and I know we're not writers or whatever, but I want you to think through.
I'm not a director.
An interesting story that has a positive role model that nothing actually negative happens to, and there's no I want to know, like, if you don't have a story arc there, if it's not a love story.
What's your favorite non-black movie? Put a black character there. That's your answer.
Oh, so The Notebook. That's not my favorite.
But I do like The Notebook. In those movies, why don't they imagine us?
I do like The Notebook.
Why can't they imagine us in those roles? You can't see a black love story like that where they transcend time and stuff like that. Benjamin Button, anything like that. Like they thought of a story where dude aged backwards. Like they're that creative, but they can't say, could he be black? Like they can come up with anything, but they can't see us being in those roles.
You got a couple Will Smith movies like that. What about Hitch?
Comedy.
Hitch wasn't a comedy. Hitch was a romantic. Well, it was a rom-com. It was a romantic
rom-com.
But I mean,
I'm not saying they're not there, Razi. I'm not saying they're not there. I'm just saying like it's and then it's like there's like one or two actors that kind of get those roles. But I get it. Lovecraft Country was a good series. Like the fact that they created this world with this black community and stuff, like I thought that was dope. This they came out before that.
The Watchmen.
Yeah, The Watchmen. Yeah. Think about it. They were starting to get there, but it's like it's so hard to imagine us in these roles, and they became iconic. Like we can play those roles, we can do those things, we can just do more. I'm not saying it took us a long time to get there. Like you said, we're 56 years removed from Jim Crow and civil rights, but has it always been so hard to imagine us in these roles? Why did you put it on me to imagine us in these roles? It's like, there's people, their job is to come up with creative stories, and it's like, nah, I can't put a nigga in that role. We're getting better.
Granted, the thing about it is, it's not the writers a lot of times. It's the directors and the people that's picking, because a lot of times they don't really write in like, hey, this is a white character or a black character. What they do is they write the character, and because it's a white writer, a lot of times they put those nuances in there that make somebody automatically assume it's white.
Yeah, you're right.
So that a little bit of that is the white who's in the writer's room is and that's why we're starting to see more black roles go and some of those characters go black, because we're getting more black writers in the writing room.
But they had to think about a black to the point where when you say the story, I can't creatively imagine a black person in his role. So a black movie is like, okay, it takes place in Compton. We need a black person. Who's our black lead? Like you for a lot of these roles, if it's in upstate New York, it's like, okay, that means it's a white person. Like,
well, I mean, when you think about upstate New York, there's like 3% black. So I mean, it's one of those things you automatically assume. But like you look at Lupin that came out on Netflix. It's in France, and they've got a black lead. That was dope as I don't know what to have him in there.
It's so rare. That's one of the things. Like, we're getting better. We're getting better. But it's like we can do it, and it shows that these things can be done and have an audience. Mm-hmm. So what's stopping us? It's like, if I'm about to write a movie, I want a black lead. Okay, because I feel like they write movies and want a black lead, and if they want a black lead, they have to make it a black movie, rather than I wrote this story. Lupin could have been black. Lupin could have been white. Lupin could have been a midget. Like it didn't matter, but they wrote a role and they found somebody who fit the role for them. You know, this will continue this conversation in Miami. But I love your question. I love your question, Buff. But my thing is, I always get frustrated when I think people can't imagine us past these certain images. Mm-hmm. That's what it is for me. It's not that they're not there. It's just like you can't imagine us. You can't think of it like, man, how can I create this dope world where I have this black lead and stuff like that? In all these movies we said, there was little pieces where it had to be a black role. Like even Lovecraft Country, because it was based off like this hierarchy. It was based off a very racist society. You know, that was the whole point of the book, you know, like subserviency. And, you know, it was Lupin, like his dad was a butler, a butler or whatever the case may be, and he was a foreigner and all. So it was kind of like it had this. Well,
because again they wrote it that way. But he could have been from any foreign country, right? So, he could have been a butler from Sweden or whatever, and so that's the thing. It's one of those things that his dad had to be black because he was black, right? Like those types of things. But that's they can change that very easily in a rework of the first script.
So we're getting better. I mean, and I don't know if any of those, I think Lupin, I don't know if it had a black director, but Lovecraft and Watchmen had black directors and producers. Mm-hmm. So we give them a chance, and look what they do. And won't both of those directors women? I feel like.
Well, Lovecraft Country had different directors for every episode, so it just depends on the episode for that one. So it just really depends. Okay. So,
but I digress. Bob, I love your question. Let's keep it going. Let's go ahead and close it out, fellas.
I just want to remind the listeners, we definitely appreciate your support. We love your support. And we ask that you just continue that support and step up that support. We have 3brothersnosense.com. Go on there, get you some merch, help spread the word. Tell people about the podcast, like share it. Just text 3brothersnosense.com to them, like to 5 people in your phone list or whatever. Say, hey, I listen to this. Check this out. Every listener that's listening, text it to 5 people that don't really listen to podcasts or don't listen to us rather, and let them know about us. Hopefully 1 or 2 will catch on and we can continue to grow this thing because we really enjoy doing this and we enjoy the feedback, especially the interaction on our Facebook and Instagram pages, man. We really have a good time with y'all, so thank you guys for that.
All right, I'll make it real quick. 3 things. First of all, it's all about support. So treat yourself to some 3 Brothers gear. You deserve it. You deserve it. If nobody else told you, you deserve it. Go get you a coffee mug. Razi, design them a bathing suit or something. What y'all want? Razi gonna get it for you. Treat yourself. You deserve it. If nobody, you deserve it, woman. Secondly, speaking of support, I want to send a shout out to the Crafting Angel for my beautiful black like me. I don't even know what this called. It's a thermos.
Water bottle.
Water bottle. It's awesome.
I ain't get one.
Well, but I told you about it, so I don't think it's too late. Let her know what you want. Black like me. I got my black on black water bottle. Black like me. It will be in Miami. I will be drinking heavily out of it, extremely heavily. And thirdly, support. I'm here to support my brother Bruce, Mike McCoy. Congratulations.
Congrats, bro.
I hope she said yes. If she didn't, always have a contingency plan.
Yeah, and cut this part out if she say yeah, right?
So Razi, yeah. So
if she said no, kicking the put.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord. We'll smile. We'll look back on this and laugh. But no, congratulations. I love to see them together. Congratulations, Bruce. Congratulations, Alexis. Girl, baby. Love you guys. Seen you guys since day one. I was there when you guys met, so I'm so happy that this union will become official very soon. And outside of that, I will see you guys in Miami.
Ooh.
Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Going to Miami.